Hi, it's Stefania over at Sleep Stories and Classic Fairy Tales for Kids. And we're back with the next episode of The Lamb on Wheels. It was too tense at the last episode ending not to get right on it. If you remember, the lamb had been placed by the fireplace, the hearth, and a piece of paper had caught fire. So, it was very near the lamb. It was. And Arnold and Mirabel had left the room, and then they came back to find this piece of paper burning near the lamb. A spark had popped out from the hearth and set fire to a piece of paper on the floor near the lamb on wheels. "Oh, she'll burn! My lamb on wheels will burn!" cried Mirabel. She rushed forward. On to our next chapter. Mirabel and Arnold had been told to be very careful whenever they played in the sitting room if a fire were burning in the open hearth. But for the moment the little girl forgot about this. All she thought of was that her lamb on wheels might be burned by the blazing paper, which had been set on fire by a spark popping out from the blazing logs on the hearth. "Oh, my lamb! My poor lamb!" cried Mirabel. "Look out!" shouted Arnold. "Don't go too close." "Why not?" asked his sister. "I have to get my lamb on wheels away from the fire." "No, you mustn't," Arnold said. "Your dress might catch on fire." The piece of paper was burning on the wide brick hearth of the fireplace and not on the carpet, and the lamb was close to the piece of paper that was on fire. Altogether too close to the fire was the lamb, she was. She was in great danger. "But I've got to save her. I must save my pet lamb," cried Mirabel. She was going to rush forward, but her brother caught hold of her and held her back. "Wait," cried Arnold. "I can put out the fire and save your lamb." "How?" "With my fire engine. It has real water in it, and I'll pump some on the paper and save your lamb from burning up. Watch me, Mirabel, but don't go near the blaze." The piece of paper, close to the lamb on wheels, was now sending up a bright blaze. It would have been pretty if it had not been so dangerous. Arnold quickly wheeled his fire engine as close to the blazing paper as he felt it was safe to go. The engine had a little pump on it, as I told you, and it spurted out real water, with which it was now filled. "Toot toot! I'm a fireman, and I'm going to put out a real fire," cried Arnold. He pressed back the little catch that held the pump from working. There was a whirring sound as the wheels spun around, and then the little rubber hose on the pump of the engine filled with water. A moment later, a small stream spurted out, and Arnold aimed it right for the piece of blazing paper. The water fell in a small shower on the fire, and then, with a hiss and a sputtering, and sending up a cloud of smoke, the paper stopped burning. "Toot toot! The fire is out!" cried the boy, making believe blow his engine whistle. "Now your lamb is saved, Mirabel." "Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you, Arnold," exclaimed his sister. She ran forward and picked up her lamb on wheels, and I'm glad to say the wool was not even scorched, not the least tiniest bit. "Oh, she's all right. She's all right. My lamb isn't hurt a bit." "Arnold, I told you I'd save her," said the boy. "But you mustn't ever run near a fire yourself, Mirabel. Wait for me to put it out with my engine. That's what fire engines and fire departments are for." "Dear me, that came near being a terrible adventure for me," thought the lamb on wheels, as Mirabel carried her back from the fireplace. "In another minute I would have been all ablaze from that paper, and wool does burn so fast." When the lamb had been saved, the mother of the two children came into the sitting room. "What is burning?" she cried. "Have you been playing with fire?" "No, mother," answered Arnold, and he told her what happened. As the days passed, Mirabelle came to love her lamb on wheels more and more. Sometimes the little girl would tie a string to the wooden platform on which her toy stood and pull the lamb around the house, as Arnold used to pull his little express wagon. "I like to ride that way," thought the lamb. "It is much more fun than it would be to be crowded into a Noah's Ark, like the wooden lion, and thrown into the flooded bathtub." The lamb was wishing Mirabelle would take her next door to see the sawdust doll. But as it happened, Dorothy was ill, and it was not thought best for Mirabelle to go in for a few days. However, Mirabelle could look from her windows over to those in the house where Dick and Dorothy lived, and though Dorothy was too ill to be out of bed, Dick was not. Dick would stand at the window in his house, and Mirabelle and Arnold would stand at the window in their front room and look across. The children waved to one another, and Dick would hold up the head of his rocking horse for Mirabelle and Arnold to see. Once, Mirabelle held up her lamb on wheels at the same time that Dick had his rocking horse close to the window, and the two toys saw each other for the first time since they had been separated. "Oh, there's my old friend, the rocking horse," thought the lamb on wheels. "How I wish I could talk to him." The horse wished the same thing, and he even thought perhaps he might get a chance to run over some evening after dark and talk to the lamb. But the doors of both houses were locked at night, and though the horse and lamb could roam about and seem to come to life when no one was watching them, they could not unlock doors. So they had to be content to look at each other through the windows. "I wish I could see the sawdust doll," thought the lamb when she had looked over at the horse one day. "I'd like to speak to her." There came a few days of bright sunshine when the weather was not so cold. One afternoon, Arnold said to Mirabelle, "I'm going to take my little express wagon out on the sidewalk in front of the house. Why don't you bring out your lamb?" "I will if Mother will let me," said Mirabelle, and Mother did. Soon the two children were running up and down in front of the house, Mirabelle pulling her lamb along by a string, and Arnold pretending to be an expressman with his wagon. "Oh, there comes a man to put some coal in Dorothy's house," called Arnold as a big wagon, drawn by two strong horses, stopped in front of the place where the sawdust doll and the white rocking horse lived. "Let's go down and watch," he said. All right," agreed Mirabelle. So she pulled her lamb on wheels down the sidewalk, and Arnold hauled his express wagon along. At Dorothy's house, the coal bin was partly under the pavement. And just as a note, this is from another time when people used coal to heat the houses. Back to the story. At Dorothy's house, the coal bin was partly under the pavement, and put in coal around iron cover was lifted up from a hole in the sidewalk, and the coal was dumped through this hole. As the children watched, and as Dorothy, who was now better, stood at the window with her brother Dick, also looking on, the coal man took the cover off the hole in the sidewalk so he could dump the black lumps through the opening into the bin. "I wouldn't want to fall down there," said Mirabelle to her brother. "I should say not," exclaimed Arnold. The coal man, after opening the large round hole in the sidewalk, climbed back on his wagon to shovel off his load. And just then, Carlo, the dog belonging to Dorothy, ran barking out of the side entrance of the house where he lived. Carlo was always excited when coal was being put into the sidewalk hole. "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" barked Carlo. "Look you don't fall down the hole!" cried Mirabelle. Just then, Carlo gave a jump around behind the little girl, and somehow or other, he became entangled in the string that was tied on the lamb. "Look out, Carlo, look out!" cried Mirabelle. "Be careful, or you'll break my lamb's string." But Carlo was not careful. He did not mean to make trouble, but he did. He barked and growled and jumped around until his legs were all tangled up in the cord. "Oh, look!" suddenly cried Arnold. "Look! Look at your lamb!" And as he spoke, Carlo gave a big jump to get the tangling string off his legs. The string broke, but as it did so, the lamb started to roll towards the open coal hole. And at the same moment, the driver of the wagon began shoveling some of the black lumps down the opening. "Oh, oh, oh!" cried Mirabelle. And then the white, woolly lamb on wheels rolled across the sidewalk and disappeared down the dark coal hole. Oh my word. What's going to happen to that lamb? You'll find out in the next chapter, which will be coming out very soon, because I know you want to know what happens to our friend, the lamb on wheels. We'll be back very soon with the next chapter. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe so that you can get notifications and you will know when the next chapter comes out, so you won't miss it. And we also have other things going on too, other fun things. So do subscribe to get those notifications so we can be together again and have more stories and fun. And that's all for now. Take care. Be well. Be good. See you again soon. Bye.